What you're about to listen to is a Bry-Fy production. Comic book reviews. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Bry-Fy podcast. I'm your host, Bry-Fy, your comics guy, and this week, I know we kind of skipped a week there. Things were busy. I was working nights, so I was really tired. But hey, we're back now. New episode. So hopefully you guys enjoy what we have in store for you today. I got quite a few things for the Nifty Nerd News section. And then we'll talk about what I've been doing for the week, what I've been getting into. And so, yeah. So without further ado, here is the Nifty Nerd News. All right, so up first in the Nifty Nerd News, director, producer, and all-around comic book nerd, Matthew Vaughn is kind of taking up a couple of spaces here. So we'll start off with what he's been doing with Deadpool. Of course, if you don't know who Matthew Vaughn is, he's done things like The Kingsman, Kick-Ass, Deadpool, and I can't remember what else. Did he do Knives Out? I can't remember if he did. Anyway, so Matthew Vaughn believes that Deadpool 3 will save the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's going to be the movie that gives the jolt to bring it back to life. I'm guessing how else do you introduce the X-Men into the Marvel Universe? We've already set up that, well, with Miss Marvel, we've set up that mutants do exist in the 616, or well, I guess that's what the MCU is the 616. I can't remember what they said. Kevin Feige had confirmed something, I can't remember. But anyway, so the cinematic universe has introduced with Kamala Khan that mutants do exist in their universe, but we don't have like our traditional X-Men. Now, with the multiverse stuff and like, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, we've seen, X-Men exist in other worlds. We've seen the Fantastic Four already in a different universe. So maybe Deadpool trying to fix the multiverse ends up bringing some of the established X-Men into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I don't know. It could be interesting. We do know that Wolverine, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, is going to be in it. And I think there's a couple of other characters from other X-Men movies that are going to be in Deadpool 3. So we'll see, man. And I think, Matthew Vaughn's kind of alluded to this, that currently there are no good central stories behind the Marvel movies that are happening right now. And maybe this will help to reintegrate some properties to get a better story. I mean, they were trying to build something with Kang the Conqueror, and then the whole actor sexual harassment things that happened, I don't think it was actual assault charges that were filed against him. Basically, it was a huge falling out with Jonathan Majors, and they decided to move away from the Kang storyline. And so we'll see what happens, man. Deadpool could be the thing to do that. Staying on the Matthew Vaughn train, though, Kick-Ass. I know we haven't thought about that in a while, or at least I haven't. Kick-Ass is getting a reboot trilogy. Yes. I don't know. It's really interesting. I love the first Kick-Ass movie. Never watched the second one, even though I keep telling myself I'm going to watch it one day because it's like the one that Jim Carrey hated and loved and hated, and he was going through a time, and it looked very interesting. And I think, Donald Faison is in Kick-Ass 2, and I love Scrubs, and I love listening to Fake Doctors, Real Friends podcast, so I gotta, show out for my boy, even though it's been out for how many years, and I still haven't seen it, and I probably still won't. But Matthew Vaughn is talking about rebooting the franchise with Kick-Ass being one of the movies, but the third entry into the trilogy is very interesting. So the first movie, which is actually already filmed and about to come out, is called School Fight. It's already done. It's finished. Good to go. the second film that they're planning is called currently VRAM, is what it's called, VRAM. It's currently filming. Don't know really anything about it. Don't know anything about School Fight either. Only that these two movies are two of a trilogy that should lead into the third movie, which will be the Kick-Ass reboot. So these other two movies are supposed to fit within the Kick-Ass universe, and then we get into the Kick-Ass reboot, which, it could be cool. I think it's weird because, yes, I do believe that we are far enough removed from the first Kick-Ass movie to be able to redo it, but at the same time, are we far enough? And is that really a proper? I say that every time when new reboots come out of movies that I swear never needed a reboot. So I don't know why I'm even questioning whether or not Kick-Ass needs a reboot. Basically, we live in a society now where if you make good, bad, or whatever movies, they're going to redo them so that they can make more money because there's always going to be a fan base no matter how good or bad a movie is. Anyway, moving on from Matthew Vaughn into some Pokemon card news because of course I'm addicted. And I love it. And that's kind of like a natural evolution. Like this podcast, this channel, whatever you want to call it, is my pop culture. It's what I like. It's what I'm interested in. The news is going to be things that I like and things that are interesting to me or, just really silly that I think you guys might like. We do have one tidbit at the end. I don't know. We'll see. I'm keeping it in my back pocket for now. But with the Pokemon trading card news, if you haven't heard, there's a really special Pikachu promo card. Actually, there's a line of Pokemon promo cards that will come out from the Van Gogh Museum over in France, I believe, where it's located. Or Amsterdam. I can't remember. No, Amsterdam. Yes, maybe. I've seen where it's located. I cannot remember for the life of me, and I didn't write it down on my notes. Anyway, of those Van Gogh Pokemon cards, there is a Van Gogh Pikachu. It's called the Pikachu with Gray Felt Hat, and it's kind of a Pikachu replica of Van Gogh's self-portrait. Very interesting. What has been kind of crazy about it, though, is the price of this free promotional card. Let me reiterate this. This was a free promotional card when it first came out. The price of this card has skyrocketed. It is worth, in some instances, $300. And oh my God, if it's graded, I think it goes even closer to $500 for this card. It is insane. It's not quite as insane as the there's a famous Japanese painting promo card with a Pikachu. It's like a lady holding a Pikachu and she's turned around looking at something. And that card is bonkers in how expensive it is. But anyway, with the gray felt hat Pikachu with gray felt hat, scalpers have just been storming the museum, picking up all the cards that they can, paying little kids $5-10, whatever that translates to in their money, and to grab these cards for them so they can get as many as possible. So Pokemon International, to try to combat this and try to keep, they want people to have this card and they don't want the prices to inflate like this because they think it's unfair to people. But to help combat this, they decided, you know what? We're going to give copies to hobby shops all around in that general area, not like here in the U.S. or anything. That would be badass if we got some in the U.S. But they decided to give copies to hobby shops or card stores in the area. And then it turned out that the card store owners were doing pre-orders, but elevating the cost of the pre-orders for the gray felt hat, the Van Gogh Pikachu. And Pokemon International saw this and was like, yo, what the hell? We were trying to help get this to your customers, get them into your shops. This would, be a big help for everyone. And now you're doing the same thing that the scalpers were doing, which they're probably the same people. And what the hell, right? And so Pokemon International now is in a big FU move to hobby shops, decided now instead of putting it in your stores, we're going to put it in big chain stores where the prices are locked anyway. So now whatever shopping chain stores that they have overseas are going to start seeing the Pikachu with gray felt hat cards, or Van Gogh Pikachu is what I've been calling it. And they, because they're block stores like Walmart's, Kmart's, those kind of things. I don't know if Kmart still exists. That was the only other store that came to mind. Kohl's, maybe? Sure. Stores like that, which can't fluctuate their prices as hardcore, like a hobby shop, a card store, a comic shop might. That, like, now they're the ones getting the card, and they're hoping to just kind of deflate the prices of these felt hat Pikachus, because it's getting out of control, man. Like, the promo market is insane. And I'm glad the cards that I look for and the cards that I want are very much cheaper than this. But, it would be nice to have one and then sell it. No, but I thought it was crazy. It's just insane. But what is even more insane is another piece of Pokemon card news that I learned here recently. And that for the Scarlet Violet 151 series that has been out now since November, and that's the set that got me back into Pokemon cards, because it was a complete overhaul of the original 151 Pokemon in the Pokedex and new cards for them. It's great. It's wonderful. They're all card numbered in Pokedex order, so when you see it in your notebook or like your card binder, it looks fantastic. It's great. But what I didn't know is, of course I knew Kadabra was a part of the 151 Pokemon, excuse me. What I didn't know was Kadabra in the Scarlet Violet 151 set was the first time that Kadabra has been in a Pokemon set for over 20 years. I had no clue, because, look, the last time I collected Pokemon cards was in the 90s. Maybe early 2000s, I got a set or two. I can't remember exactly, but I was very young, And so Kadabra for 20 years Pokemon was not able or not allowed to print Kadabra cards. And I was like, what the hell? What's up with this? So as it turns out, there's an illusionist named Uri Geller, who's known for bending spoons, sued in the year 2000 for his likeness rights because of Kadabra, saying, quote, that it looked like him and that they were using his likeness for this card and he didn't agree to it, which I thought was really weird. What does Uri Geller have anything to do with Kadabra? Because, like, is he just running around his show yelling Kadabra and then bending spoons? No. As it turns out, so of course, we have English names for Pokemon, right? Well, in Japan, they have Japanese names different than ours. Like, and I don't mean like, oh, he's called like a Japanese name, like a normal name in Japan. No, but they have like a Japanese name for the Pokemon over there. And for Kadabra, it's Youngerer, which is kind of like Uri Geller. And it's actually been stated from Pokemon that, yes, Uri Geller was the inspiration for Kadabra, Youngerer. So it's kind of weird, but you can start to see it. But why is that really enough to piss off this illusionist? Well, as it turns out, he was doing a show over in Japan, I believe. I think it was in Japan, and a fan came up to him with a Kadabra card and wanted him to sign it, knowing that, hey, this card was in your likeness, much like Hitmonchan was Jackie Chan, Hitmonlee was Bruce Lee, and actually the other Abra and Alakazam are based off people too. We'll get to that later. But the card in question was from the Team Rocket set. And if you know anything about Pokemon sets, if you know anything about Team Rocket and Pokemon, Team Rocket are the bad guys and they're evil. And so in the Team Rocket set, Kadabra in America is Dark Kadabra. But in Japan, it is known as Evil Youngerer. And so basically, Yuri got upset because what he knew of this card that was based off him was evil. And so he kind of took it as like, you're calling me evil, and got really upset. Now, thankfully, after the pleading of grandchildren and tons of fans, probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions of fans throughout the years, begging and pleading for Yuri to change his mind. Eventually, in 2020, he did change his mind. He reached out to the Pokemon Company. They actually reached back out to him, and like they had a nice little exchange back and forth, and they kind of explained things. And he kind of, he didn't kind of, he actually apologized, saying, it was really petty of me. I was kind of like, I didn't handle that the right way. And so now here we are. In 2023, Scarlet Violet 151, they were able to reprint Kadabra, which was the first time in 20 years over a grudge, basically. And it's pretty crazy. Like I told you, Abra and Alakazam were also based off other people as well. Abra was based off this guy named Edgar Casey, who was a clairvoyant, and the Japanese name for Abra was Casey. Kind of funny. And for Alakazam, he's actually based off of Harry Houdini, and in Japan, he's called Fooding. So it was kind of interesting. So I don't even know where they got that from. But so yeah, in America, it's Abra, Kadabra, Alakazam. And in Japan, it's Casey, Youngerer, and Fooding. Interesting. And what was even more interesting to me, too, is so, like, if you know Pokemon, Pokemon cards, they have to evolve. You get an Abra, has to evolve into a Kadabra, and the Kadabra then evolves into the Alakazam. You can't do, like in Pokemon, they don't just skip over evolutions. You don't have an Abra who magically evolves into an Alakazam. That's just not how that world works and how the things work. But the Pokemon had to get creative with the card game because, of course, they still had cards that were being used in tournaments and things like that, and they still wanted people to be able to play Alakazam cards. So in 2007, they actually made an Abra that came with a move that allowed it to evolve into Alakazam. I forget what the move was called, but it was from the Mysterious Treasures set. And so basically you would pay, like, I think it was 2 psychic energies, and you were able to evolve from an Abra to an Alakazam. And then that also, because of that issue, they had to get even more creative because they kind of felt like that wasn't good enough. They started inventing the Pokemon EX and Pokemon V cards, which featured a lot of Stage 2 Pokemon as basic Pokemon to get around the mess. So there's like some Alakazam EX cards that are listed as basic Pokemon that you could play straight. You didn't have to evolve them from anything to get around the fact that you couldn't evolve an Abra to a Kadabra to get to an Alakazam. So Pokemon got pretty creative to get around like the issues that they were having with their cards, which I think is pretty interesting and pretty intuitive. And I think there have been some other like item cards like Pokemon tools and supporter cards that would allow you to do things like that as well, where you could skip over an evolution or allow you to play a Stage 2 Pokemon without evolving from a Stage 1. So I thought it was pretty cool, pretty interesting. And that was just something I learned in my little research. And the last bit of news I will talk about is kind of funny, kind of interesting. It involves murder. So back in Texas, I forget how many years ago this was, there was a woman who was dating a guy. He was like a professional biker. They broke up and he started dating a different girl who biked and stuff. Well, this woman was very upset. And so she ran over the other girlfriend with her car, killed her. And, normally when something like that happens, you get arrested and, you pay the time because you did the crime. Well, this woman then fled the United States with her sister's passport and she just took off. So killed someone, fled the country, and used like falsified documents using her sister's passport, which the sister could be in trouble too because she willingly gave her the passport that's aiding a like wanted felon in helping them escape the country to avoid consequences for a crime. I'm sorry. I said she ran her over. I'm thinking tons of horrible things happened to bicyclists. So the woman whose name I'll tell you now, just because Caitlin Armstrong shot the other girlfriend and then fled the country, which was crazy. But it gets even weirder because so she ended up fleeing to Costa Rica somewhere, and the authorities, I guess U.S. Marshals that were looking at or trying to find her, could not find her in Costa Rica. And what's funny is because the reason why they said so, Caitlin Armstrong, one thing about her that kind of makes this point. So she was really into yoga. She was like a skinny, fit, sun-tanned yoga enthusiast who escaped to Costa Rica. U.S. Marshals then said it was so hard to find her because just about all the white people in Costa Rica looked like tall, skinny, fit, sun-tanned, like yoga enthusiasts. And they said they were trying to set traps for her. They were sending female marshals into yoga classes and yoga studios trying to locate this woman, and were just not able to find her at all, which is crazy because you don't think Costa Rica is being that large where you can't find one person. And eventually they were able to find her, but the way that they found her was crazy and a shot in the dark. They made a wanted ad that they needed a yoga instructor immediately, and like the pay was going to be great. It was going to be like free housing. So like all this insane stuff like that's like too good to be true, right? Which it was. It was an attempt to try to capture a fugitive, and it worked. Within 2 weeks, I believe, Caitlin Armstrong sent in a request like for more information that she wanted the job, and then shows up to where the job's supposed to be, and they arrest her there. Like, it is the craziest thing in the world. It's the funniest way. They couldn't find her because everyone looked like her. Everyone looked like some like scraggly yoga person. Like, I don't know. Like, it's insane. Like, this whole story is insane. But I remember it happening. Man, was it 2015, 17, something like that? So this woman was on the run for years before they finally got her. But I remember the story being big back when it happened, because it happened like in Austin, if I'm not mistaken, but Austin, Texas. But anyway, yeah, so that's the end of our nifty nerd news and things that I found interesting. So take a short break right here. When we come back, we'll talk about what I've been getting into this past 2 weeks. All right, guys, so it's time for the final part of the podcast, your favorite part, because we're about to go home. Actually, you could just stop it now and just go. Like, you just stop. You don't have to stay here the whole time. But I appreciate that you do. It makes me happy. It makes me feel a little better about things. So what's been going on? I've actually been playing video games. So if you follow my stream, it's twitch.tv/the Bry-Fy. I've been playing a couple of things. Of course, Battle Bit Remastered. I love that game. It's one of my favorite games to play. It's a better version of Battlefield, really, honestly. And it's been so much fun. But I finally picked back up Pokemon Violet and started playing the downloadable content with the DLC for that. But I haven't gotten too far. I've made it to the Indigo Disc, which is a giant circular arena that has 4 biomes. And in each biome, there's different sets of Pokemon. There's a savanna biome. There's a beach watery biome, I believe it is. There is a frozen biome, and then there's a rocky one, I think. I don't know. I don't know too much about the the ice one. I mean, clearly it's ice, right? The savanna one's got kind of rolling plains and kind of like a muddy section, which is very interesting. So very much kind of like an Africa feel to it. The beach one is kind of like generic, I guess, in all honesty, but I haven't explored that one much. The Savannah one is really where I've spent most of my time. In my last playthrough, I just kind of went to do like the first little mini quest, and I was like, oh, like, look, you can find different variations of Pokemon, and that's where we find like an Alolan Executor, and there's like other Alolan versions of Pokemon there. So that was kind of neat and kind of cool. And then I've just stopped because I haven't had a chance to stream the next part, which is they want me to go to the center of the Indigo Disc and meet up with Carmine and her brother, who are from the first DLC from the game, who we met in Teal Mask. And so we're now at their school where they go to school, and it's going to be pretty interesting. I like the idea of these biomes. It's a fairly large map. I was actually shocked at how big it was, especially compared to the Teal Mask. I thought the Teal Mask, while nice and got to see some new Pokemon, I don't know, it just didn't feel explorable, if that makes sense. But the Indigo Disc feels more intuitive to want to explore this. And so currently I'm rebuilding my team, not going, because like my main team that I use, they're all level 100s. It's not fun, right? So I need to get new players into the mix and build a new team. So I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with that and who I want to put in those positions. But the other problem is the lowest Pokemon you fight against is like level 60. So like everything, while they look like weak little bitches, are level 60 monstrosities ready to demolish anything that's not even close to their level. And that's the problem. I've neglected all of my other Pokemon that I own. And so now I'm keeping like one or two, well, I keep like one of my level 100s. And it's really my Scyther, because Scyther is my catching Pokemon, because he has False Swipe. And False Swipe, if you don't know, will do all the damage in the world, except it will always leave one remaining HP to your opponent Pokemon. So it will never knock out a Pokemon. It will always get them down to just one health point, and then you can capture them from there. So I think it's a very effective way to catch Pokemon, because you weaken them. The only problem is if they do a move that hurts themselves, then they knock themselves out. So that's the only risk that I run with doing False Swipe Scyther. I guess I could look at making Pokemon fall asleep. That's another way to do it. But I've just always preferred the Scyther method. And then I don't know what I'm going to do if I run into a shiny Pokemon. I'll probably just pray to God. Pray to Arceus, the Pokemon god. But yeah, it's been fun. I've been enjoying it. Like I said, this version of the DLC versus Teal Mask, I'm already more a fan of. And it's not just the different type of Pokemon. It's just the feel of the level. It's the feel of the map. And I think I'm going to like this a lot more. So I'm really excited to get back to it. What else have I been doing? Of course, been on the card front. Baseball's been kind of, because I've put the Paldean Fates on the back burner, but I just bought a bunch of stuff. A new premium box came out for Paldean Fates that came. There's one for each of the three starters. Whatchamacallit, Sprigatito, Fuecoco, and Quaxley. They each have their own premium box, which features 8 booster packs, 3 promo cards, which is the evolutions. So like the basic first stage and second stage evolution, and then 1 jumbo card. So it's pretty neat, and it's for $50. I think it was 50 or 54. Maybe it was 54. So for $54, not a bad deal. Because an elite trainer box for the same price, you'll get 9 booster packs, but with the premium box, you get 8 plus the 4 promos technically. And what's special about these ones, you get a 3-framed card holder that you can put whatever 3 cards you want into. But if you wanted to right now, you just put the 3 promo cards in there. Looks great. Each box is a different color, so each frame is a different color. Of course, for grass, fire, and water. It's very interesting. And in this wave of stuff, they've also released mini tins. I got 5 of those because there's 5 different ones. And I figured, why the hell not? And if Pokemon 151 was indication, you have better chances at hits in your mini tins. So hopefully we get the alternate art Mew EX, or maybe even the Charizard might be in there. Who knows? The Charizard would be great because that's almost $200 now for that card. And so that would be the one to pull. And then I'll immediately sell it and get a Mew because that's what I want. The Mew looks amazing. If you've never seen it, you can look up alternate art Mew EX on Google and it should pop up. It's like a cartoony blue Mew. It's the shiny version of Mew. I love the artwork on it, and that's like my big card that I want from this set. And based on the amount of money I've spent, I probably could have bought it at least twice at this point. But I tell myself I'm going to wait till the price goes down, and then maybe get it when I pull a booster pack. I don't know. That's what I keep telling myself. And I can already feel my wife's eyes rolling just thinking about it. Anyway, that's been pretty much it, man. I've been buying a couple of baseball cards, really cheap ones, but ones that I'm a fan of because I'm a big fan of the Houston Astros. So I bought 3 different Houston Astros cards that come with like a cool little logo in the card, which I think will look really neat. I'll post a picture when those arrive. And I'm almost complete with my Pokemon Go card set. I'm down to the final card. It should be in the mail sometime soon. So I'm really excited for that. And then I also ordered a phone case that I'm really giddy about because it lets you put a Pokemon card in the case so you can like walk around with a Pokemon card as your phone case. So I'm pretty excited for that as well. Other than that, though, that's it, man. Just hanging out, enjoying games and cards and my family and eating food and work, kind of. But yeah, so we'll see you guys next week. Thank you for listening to the podcast, and hopefully you'll be back again. Bry-Fy out.